Hi, everybody. All right, let us get into the Facebook group and then we'll get started. If you're watching on the replay, I am 3 minutes early, so you can fast forward. Hi, welcome everybody. All right, so we've got just a couple minutes before we start. I'm going to pull up our questions. That's weird. Oh, that's fine. Wowzer, we only have one new question. What? Okay, that means that y'all can drop them in the chat because we are in week 4. We are halfway through the course. So get those questions in. What is this? Okay. All right, I'm going to just read this question out loud as I'm reading it. Big question. I'm working on financial planning, and in order for me to leave my current job and make enough money to cover expenses starting August, I have to write this down, 2023, I need to make between 8 and 10K a month. If I go all in with marketing, is this possible? Please say yes, please say yes, please say yes. Okay, let me do a little bit of math so that I can give you some realistic. I can buy myself flowers. Hold on. Oh. So if we're trying to make 8 to 10, let's just go with 10K because it's going to be easier to do the math. Let's see here. Where's my calculator? There we go. All right, so that's 120K. And let's say that you were going to work 48 weeks. So that's 2,500 a week. And let's say that you wanted to see 20 clients. Yes, that is possible. So that would be 125 per session for 20 clients a week for 48 weeks a year gets you to 10K months. 12 months out of the year. Okay. So let me write that differently so it's easier. It gets you to 120K gross per year. All right. So part of the, am I starting early? I got excited. No, it's 12 o'clock. Okay. So part of what we have to think about here is how long do you see clients? The longer your duration of treatment, the fewer clients you need to attract. So here's an example. Most of my clients I see for a year or longer, which means that in this case, I only need to have attracted 20 clients before August to be able to get to those numbers. And I don't need to attract anybody else for a whole year. If you're doing, let's say, solution-focused work and you're turning people over really quickly, 3 to 5 sessions, then your marketing, then no, I would say it's not possible to get there by then because your marketing is going to have to be driving a ton of clients into your world. So let's talk through what the key elements of marketing would need to be for you guys to hit this number. And don't forget that you can add questions in the chat here. I'm gonna pull up my Zoom and teach on the fly. So let's see here. Here's Zoom. Let me open up, see what the easiest way for me to draw something cool for you would be. I think it's just going to end up being sharing the screen. I can do it on my iPad. I'm going to just do it on the whiteboard. That's going to be easiest. Okay. So when we think about marketing, you have to be doing badass therapy, period. That is the only way to create and maintain a strong caseload. And in order to do badass therapy, you need to know who your flow or ideal client is. And when I say know them, I mean know them inside and out. Specifically, know their pain points, hope points. So pain points being like, how would they describe their suffering in feeling words, thought words, behaviors, et cetera, relationship patterns. I want this to come out. And the same things with hope points. You need to be able to describe this in such a way that they are going to be like, OMG, you are my person. We cannot be badass therapists with every client. So what I don't mean is you need to have 40 certifications, right? What I do mean is that if you know who it is that you are a rock star therapist with, we market to that person. And if you can do that, then we're going to fill that practice. So we need you to be a really great therapist. And that's going to mean like knowing who you're great with. So that's the first part of marketing. The second part is they need to be able to land on a place. I'm going to just call this for now your website. I haven't come up with other language, but basically it's like, where can they sign up, right? So it could be a directory listing. It could be a YouTube channel. It doesn't matter, but they need a place where they can sign up. And that place has to have compelling copy and photos. It needs to be, as Nick Fuller would say, a conversion machine. Again, it doesn't have to be a website. It could be your directory listing. It could be a card website, which is a quick and dirty way to create a very beautiful one-page website. Doesn't need to be fancy pants, y'all, but it does need to be badass copy and really great photos. It needs to be visually appealing, but more than anything, we want them staying on that page and we want them compelled to click that schedule free consult button. But that's not enough. That's not enough. Because how do we get them here? How do we get them to, I want a little arrow. How do we get them to this place? Right? Your website, no matter how beautiful, is just a billboard sitting in the freaking woods that nobody is seeing unless we are getting people to it. Now, let me tell you that there are lots of ways to get people to your website. So you can pick the ways that work best for you. How do we get somebody to your website? We can focus on SEO. And all that means is use your headers and subheaders to let Google know what the site is about in words that your ideal or flow client would use in a Google search. Does not mean paying somebody a bunch of freaking money to do your SEO, because you don't need that. That's not what we need as therapists. We need baby SEO. We don't need a lot of it. So I can talk more about what you need there, but I don't want to get too in the trenches because this is a long-term strategy. This is going to get you, results in 9 to 12 months. It's not a short-term strategy that's going to get you results right away. So that's one way to get people to your website, is using SEO. There are some SEO hacks. So we talked about headers, subheaders, also your footers, but there are other SEO hacks. So you can get, you can use existing sites that have really high SEO and link to your website from there with high SEO. So examples of this would be YouTube, Reddit especially, you know, to a much lesser degree, LinkedIn, Facebook business page. I can't believe that I didn't put this on first. Google My Business. If I were picking any two, I would pick Google My Freaking Business and Reddit. And reviews and stars elevate your SEO. So if you can get colleagues to do some reviews for you, obviously stating that they're colleagues, right? Then it's going to boost your SEO. So if I was picking two, these are the two that I would do under this harnessing existing sites. So here's one idea. I really like these little, what's this? What's this? Ha! We make little things like it is. Okay, so it looks ugly, but you get the idea. So you can SEO by headers and subheaders. You can use existing sites, and then you can also get backlinks. Backlinks tell Google that this site is legit. So you can guest blog on a, I'm going to put well-searched site. So for example, Medium isn't going to cut it really unless you get like a lot of views. But if you do get a lot of views, it's awesome. But I'm thinking more like a mommy blogger. If you help moms, a mommy blogger who's popular, if you can guest blog and then get a backlink, basically them just linking to your site. That's all that means, to your site. That's super helpful. If you can be featured via an article, a quote, and you can do that through Haro, help a reporter out. That can also become a massive time suck, so be careful. You can also backlink with each other. Backlinks are really helpful, but remember that it's a long-term strategy. This is not like a short-term thing. So if I were thinking, where do I want to spend my time? I'm not really focusing here until next year. I'm focusing on Google My Business, Reddit, and we have that in the course. And I'm focusing on my headers, subheaders, and my footers on my website. And you'll see in the course that we have, I think Nick Fuller comes in to talk about SEO. SEO, one strategy to get people to your website, but there are others, right? We can't forget that people can send folks to your website. And how do we make that happen? We do that through relationship building and being of service. So we were just talking in the Level Up version of the course about how can I be helpful to people that are already in my orbit, to my own doctors or to my own hairstylist or to my own, I don't know, I was going to say chiropractor, but I believe they're doctors, but you know, whoever, my holistic healer, my whatever, my yoga facility. How can I be helpful? Can I create like a little postcard in Canva that gives some quick tips or quick wins and then teases like, hey, I got some more of these on my website for us to get people over there. And just heads up that when you're trying to get people to your website, nobody's typing in your website anymore. You have to use a QR code. They're free, they're easy, use a freaking QR code. You can Google how to do it. So people can send folks there if you are being useful. So if you create a little handout for your gynecologist, don't create one that's like, hey, this is what I do. Like, here's how to schedule an appointment. Instead, create one that's helpful. So maybe it says like, hey, so you're sitting in your GYN's office and you feel super anxious about the appointment. Here are some things you can do that are going to be quick and easy to help you decrease your anxiety so that the appointment goes easier. If this isn't the only place that you feel anxious, maybe you feel anxious when, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are some more quick tips on my YouTube channel or on my blog or on my website. Use this QR code and check them out. And then that QR code takes them to those helpful resources. So the other way, so we're saying use your own providers, use your current clients' providers. So we want to provide wraparound care for our clients. You're not busy yet, right? So you can make sure that you're asking your clients, hey, I like to provide 360-degree care. And that means collaborating with your other care providers to make sure that you're not missing anything, that your mood swings are a result of your partner being an asshole and not the result of hormone imbalance or thyroid issue or whatever, right? So with your permission, I would like to just once or twice a year, send them a fax looking for an update, share with them whatever information you and I agree would be helpful to them and nothing more. Would that be okay with you? Can I get a release from you to do that? When you are a badass clinician with these care providers, they are going to refer to you without you ever having to ask for referrals. So use your own providers, use your current clients' providers. And those are both like, I would call those hot to warm leads. And then we have like cool leads. So we don't ever want to reach out to like cold leads. We want to turn cold leads into cool or warm leads. But let's say that you know that Dallas is where the cash is and where the people are that you love working with. And you work with folks who have chronic health issues. So you're going to you're going to Google stock providers in Dallas who work with people with chronic health issues, from holistic healers, Ayurvedic clinics, to wellness spas, to the various kinds of doctors that they might see. You're going to Google stalk them just enough to find something unique on their website that resonates with you. Then you're going to reach out to them, note the unique thing. Hey, I have lots of clients in Dallas who struggle with chronic health issues, and I work with them around the mental component of living with these blah, 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 blah. I noticed on your website, you said this, and that really resonates with me. And I wonder if you might be a good referral for my people. Do you have 10 minutes for us to touch base on the phone? I'd like to learn more about what you do, how you work with people, how I can make, let me just make sure that this comment isn't saying that you can't see this. Okay. Lost my train of thought because I was yapping. Blah, blah, blah. How you receive referrals, who the best people are to send to you. And then, so you're basically saying like, I'm probably going to send you people, let's hop on the phone. And then you can also say, and if there's anything that you can share with me about what might be helpful in terms of like resources for your folks. I love making useful like little postcards or pamphlets or something like that to send to your clients. I make short audio clips or YouTube videos or blogs or, checklists or quick tip sheets or whatever based on the needs of your patients. And I'd love to do that for your folks, right? They're like, yes, please, yes. So this is how we take a cold lead, but who really kind of matches for our ideal client, turn them into a warm lead by noticing something on their website that really sticks out to you, something you guys have in common. And that way it doesn't feel like you're just cold calling or cold emailing. Okay. So these are ways that we get people to the website. We can use SEO. People can send folks there. And then the last piece is called content marketing, creating helpful shit and putting it on the internet in places where your flow clients visit that ultimately will lead them back to your, I'm going to just call it website, even though it could be any number of things. I had a directory listing and a YouTube channel, and that's how I started my practice. So for example, if you help moms, then Pinterest and Instagram are where the moms are hanging out. So you're going to create helpful shit in Canva that you put on Pinterest and on those places that lure people like, hey, look, I'm helping you. Here's some more help on my website, that lead them back to your website. This is your shortest term strategy. Short term. Get folks in quick. This is your middle term strategy. And this is your long-term strategy. So as you think about like, where should I spend my time? Here is first. There is a little bit of danger with content marketing that you get sucked into the social media vortex. And then you spend an inordinate amount of time screwing around on social media. Please don't do that. Just make a few helpful things, put them out into the world and leave it the hell alone. Okay, we can talk more about any one of these things, but I don't want to overwhelm. I'm about to close this screen. So if you want to use your phone and take a quick shot of it, go ahead and do that. You can always pull it back up. But this is your marketing strategy. If you're doing this, you're going to win. Many people who have a lot of connections only ever have to do this relationship marketing. Some people never even have a website, right? So if you have lots of connections, just spend your time here. Don't worry about anything else. If you know, like I have some connections, but not enough, then I would probably invest in these two strategies first and then backfill. And the only reason I say that about backfilling with content marketing is just because when you do your SEO, there's a done. Like, you do the headers, you do the subheaders, you do the footer, and you're done. You know when you're done. If you're reaching out to 10 people a week via email to see if you can set up a time to chat, 1 in 10 will respond to you. You have a end. I'm going to reach out to 10 people every single week, right? And then you're done. There's an end. With content marketing, you can just do it forever. You don't know when you're done. Unless your practice gets full, and then you're like, okay, I'm not making any more content. Okay. One last thing here. When you create helpful shit online on Reddit, you are getting a 2-for-1. You are getting your SEO magic from Reddit, and you're getting your content marketing win. And in terms of content marketing, there's 2 wins under that. Number 1, you're building know, like, trust, and your expert status because you're being super freaking helpful. So you're building those elements that warm up a lead more. And you are creating everlasting helpful stuff on the internet. Like Reddit lasts forever and it's highly searchable. Okay. Big freaking win. And then second to that is YouTube. So go Reddit first, but YouTube works in a similar way in that it is both getting you naturally occurring SEO because YouTube is full of it and YouTube is a search engine as opposed to regular social media, which is not. And you're getting the win because you're creating helpful content online that will lead back to your website. Okay. I am going to close the screen. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me take a look at you guys and see. Oh, it's hard to read on your screen. Let me see if I can take a screenshot of it. Let me see here. That's weird that it's hard. You know what? That's a freaking Facebook issue because it's clear as day on my screen. Stupid freaking Facebook. Let me grab it. I can buy myself flowers. Song is stuck in my head. Okay, So I'll drop that into the group later so that you can see it more easily. I really hope I didn't just close everything out. I did not. Okay. All right, no problem. I need that SEO info. Do you have a formula for determining the number of new clients you need per month? Yes, I do. And it is going to be hard for me to remember. I believe that it's in the step-by-step course. I know that it's in the marketing intensive course. Let me just think about where it is. I'm going to see if I can grab you the link for it. My brain's like, maybe you can remember it. Yeah, okay. We're gonna see if we can remember it. This is a bad idea, but let's think about it. Let's just think about it logically. We have to know how long you typically see clients, right? So if I need 20 clients in my caseload to pay my bills, and I typically see people for a year, what I know is I need 20 people in a year, right? If I know that I need to see 20 people and I typically see people for 6 months, I know I need 40 people in a year. So 6 months treatment, 20 people per week, right? So tell me, how many people do you want to see per week? How many people do you need to see per week? And how long is your average duration of treatment? And let's see if we can get to it, okay? I'm gonna just use logic rather than trying to find that formula, which is gonna take more time than you guys probably have. What other questions do we have? I know we slid into teaching, so let me know if that was useful to you. And let me know what other questions you have, because we've already answered all of those that were submitted. Let me just mark that off that we answered that. And you can just pop in the chat any other questions that you have. If you don't have questions, we will wrap early. I don't want to wrap early because I want you to get what you paid for, and you paid for a whole hour of Q&A. But I also won't torture you by sitting here and yapping and twiddling my thumbs. Okay. Yes and yes. So Nicole sees about 15 people, wants to see about 15 people per week. On average, sees them for 9 to 12 months. Okay, that's great. So let's say you see them for 12 months. That means 15 new clients a year, which means, you know, between 1 and 2 per month new, to be able to keep up with that rate. So 15 new clients, if the DD, I'm going to just put in the details here so we remember. 15 people, average 12 months. Okay, so that would get you here. 9 months is harder math, my friend, but I think you can extrapolate from there. Okay, so I submitted a question just now, not sure if you saw it. Let me see if it came through. Let me update my form. It doesn't auto update to the form that I have. Would you mind copying and pasting it for me in the chat, Pamela? Okay. Can you speak to the reasons for charging more for intake sessions compared to a regular session? Yeah, so there are 2 reasons that I charge more. Number 1, my intake lasts longer than my regular session. So my regular session is 50 minutes. My intake is in between 75 to 90 minutes. So I'm going to charge more because it's a longer period of time. But the second reason is that shit takes forever to write up. And what I tell my clients is that, and I don't know if I would still do this to this day now that I'm thinking about it, but I did it when I was practicing. I'm on hiatus right now. I would say to them, you know, we've done the consults and seems like we're a really good match. And my guess is we're going to work together, you know, over the longer term. But it is possible that when we do the intake that we'll find, you know, you really need a specialist in X or Y or whatever, because I'm going to ask you so many more questions. And in that case, I don't want you to feel like, oh, crap, you know, like I have shared all this stuff and now I got to go do it again. I will write up a summary of what we've discussed that I will give to you. And you can always give that to your new provider, or I can send it directly to your new provider. 99% of the time, once we get past this free consult, you end up staying with me as a client. But, I just like people to know. I don't know if that almost feels like, now that I'm looking back at it, it almost feels like I was trying to compensate for the higher cost. So I don't know if I would do that again. I think I feel more confident about the price now, but it is just something to think about. All right. No, Nicole, I do not see. Oh, wait. No, I see your question from last time. Can you please talk about the pros and cons of being licensed in multiple states? I don't see a new question for this time. So let me know, drop it in the chat and I'll answer it here. Bradlicia says, I haven't made it all the way through the module, so let me know if this is in there. I'm wondering how I decide what needs to go in the informed consent and what needs to go in the practice policies. When you say practice policies, what do you mean? Because I think we all mean something different with that. Do you mean like your internal practice policies? Or do you mean something that the client gets? Or do you mean like the terms and services that go on your website? And Bradlicia, remind me of your degree type and the state that you are licensed in. Internal. Okay, so for my internal practice policies, the vast majority of them are covered in the informed consent. So there's only a few extra things that are going to be my own practice policies, one of them being like my scope of practice. And I don't make this fancy. Now, if you're going to hire additional people onto your team, you might want to like make it fancy and type it all up. But literally, my scope of service is a circle on a piece of paper. And inside the circle is what I treat. Outside the circle is what I am not going to deal with. Pro tip, do not use diagnoses because ADA does not like that. So the Americans with Disabilities Act doesn't want you to, prejudice isn't the right word, discriminate based on diagnosis, unless it's a competency issue, right? Like if you haven't had the training to treat people with an eating disorder, for example, like I'd feel totally fine putting, anorexia on my I don't treat because I don't have that training, or substance abuse as a primary problem in their lives. I don't have that training. So that's fine. But I would not put like personality disorder stuff, because then people are nobody's ever gonna see this document. But the 0.01% chance that somebody does, I'm just gonna put, like symptoms, like, oh, they need to be seen more than once a week, or, oh, they need in between session contact. They've been in a hospital within the last year, which suggests, they're more emotionally dysregulated than I can manage in a sole practitioner private practice. I would use those kinds of words. Trying to think about anything else that I would have in my practice policies. And it is in the course, but still, I want to think about it. Mainly it's a scope of service. Oh, the other thing that I have in my practice policies, 2 pieces. When you do the crisis response emergency services mini course, there's a lot of stuff in there that you'll want to keep in your policies and procedures section. And then the other thing is, oh geez, don't slip my mind. Come on. Damn it. It just totally, I got it. Your cover your ass thought doc. My cover my ass thought doc, which is in the course, is the way that I sift through anytime I'm going to make a decision in my practice that is atypical. So if I generally don't see people who need, twice a week support, but I find myself really wanting to see this new client who needs twice a week support for a period of time, I make myself go through that cover your ass thought doc, because I will I'll put the question at the top, like, so-and-so wants to be seen. They need to be seen twice a week. I generally don't see people twice a week, but I'm thinking of making an exception to that rule, right? And then I go through my ethics my legal codes, perhaps a consultation with somebody else, and I just document all of it in there and then document my decision at the end. And I keep that in my policies and procedures manual, de-identified, but so that I can identify it. And I put it in the client's chart so that if I do decide to see them. So that way, like, I have a really shitty memory, and sometimes I slide into bleeding heart stuff. And sometimes my ego is stroked enough that I see somebody that I probably shouldn't be seeing because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna help them, right? And so if I make myself go through this process, then I'm at least making as much of an effort as I can not to get sucked into those pitfalls and to document it so I'm covering my ass. All right. So LMFT in California. All right. What I would do, Bradleysia, with your informed consent in particular. So in the one that you guys have, I have written an overabundance of stuff to try to cover everybody. But there is always going to be something specific to your state or your ethics code that you need to add because it's unique to you and those two factors. So here's a good example. And I don't remember which ethics code it is off the top of my head, but there's one that says that you need to include in your informed consent a way for people to make a complaint about you. So like literally, this is where you would go to make a complaint, and the link and the phone number and the email address, right? I am very grateful that I don't have to do that, but some of us do. So the place that you can go to find that out is you will write in, geez, freaking California, man, because it has the extra layers, right? It's yours, of course, marriage and family therapy. If it's not marriage and family therapy, it's social work, man. I literally will go to the legal code for my profession and then go to documentation, and it will tell me exactly what has to be in my informed consent and what needs to be in my regular documentation. So I just looked this up for somebody the other day, and I had to laugh because in their documentation, they're required by law in their state, by their professional degree type, to do a termination summary. And as a psychologist in Florida, I'm not. I do them anyway because I know I won't remember anything, but I'm not required to by law. So you'll just want to like look through there and make sure your booty's covered and that you've done all of the things, ethics and the legal thing. And then CAMFT, is that how you say it? Might also have some extra shit because they love to do that. So you can check with them too. But generally, it's like one small thing that you would need to add to the informed consent. One other piece about the informed consent. When I created mine, I need to go back in and edit this out. Kelly pointed this out to me. In there, under the mediation and like, hey, if shit goes wrong, then we're not going to go to court, right? We're going to go to a mediator, you know, in that section where I talk about if you can sue me and all of that sort of stuff. At the time, I was partnered with iTherapy. They were like my EHR, they were my directory listing, they were all of the things. And in their paperwork, because they're badasses, they agreed to take half the liability if things went amiss and somebody sued. So I have that in my paperwork because it was what they had in theirs. And I was like, okay. That's probably not true for any other EHR. So you'll want to double check that or just take that part out. Nicole says, I've been working on the informed consent. What limits can we place on participating in legal proceedings? Great question. You also mentioned mitigation and third-party involvement. Under what circumstances will we need this and where do I find the service? Okay, really, really good questions. All right, so let's start with what limits can we place on participating in legal proceedings? The reality is that I have a lot to say on this. Let me organize it. In your informed consent, we are basically using that section to dissuade someone from intentionally or voluntarily using our therapy sessions, our notes, our documentation, whatever, to support them in some sort of legal proceeding. And we're doing that by saying, hey, that's not my jam. That's not my specialty. Also, like, that's going to cost you a lot of money. We want to dissuade, you do you, I want to dissuade them from involving me in legal proceedings. And some people are specifically coming looking for that. They're like, hey, I'm going through a divorce. I want my kids. I want to say some things on record. And then I want to be able to use that in court. So I want to, like, as much as I can, eliminate them from coming into my caseload. I don't want to do any of that. The reality is that if we are court ordered, so not just subpoenaed, but court ordered to provide our records or to show up in court, we have to. Not a damn thing you can do about it. So, you know, there are some rare cases, they are very rare, where you will have to go to court and you will not get paid for it no matter what's in your paperwork. There are situations where we're not allowed to charge. Like if you're court ordered, you can't charge for that. So I am basically trying to minimize my risk of going to court by having that in my paperwork. And by talking in my consultation, if I'm starting to get the vibe that they're wanting to do something related to their records and legal system to dissuade and not take them on. In very rare circumstances, you can end up in court anyway, and you can end up not getting paid. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra bonus something. And this is true in Florida. I don't know if it's true elsewhere. I feel like it probably is, but take it with a grain of salt. I have had clients who, you know, I worked a lot with complex trauma clients. And there were a couple of cases where they decided to legally go after their perpetrators. Yes. And they wanted to use their records to demonstrate the psychological damage that the abuse had caused them. And there are some real dangers in doing that. Because what happens is they don't get to, at least in Florida, they don't get to pick and choose what parts of the record go into court. As soon as they were to say to the other attorney, like, hey, we're going to use some of the therapy records, that attorney now can access all of the therapy records. And I am speaking based on anecdotal personal experience and what I've been told, not consultation with a lawyer. So, you know, add some salt to this. So what I would talk to my clients about is there is some danger in bringing in any part of your therapy record into your side of the case, because you're basically saying, like, here are the worms, here's the can. I'm just going to use this worm, but you have to give the whole can to the other side and they can dump it all out. So some of those trauma related coping skills that you've used and that we totally understand why you would use and make total sense to us look really different when presented to a jury or a court. You know, they're going to interpret some of that stuff as like crazy and that you're making this up because look, you're crazy and you're doing this stuff over here, you know, what the fuck ever. Sorry if kids are listening. So in those circumstances, I would consult. I love consulting with Matt Zimmerman for these kinds of things. And then I would give them, like, listen, here are the pros and cons. You do what's helpful to you, but here are the pros and cons. And I've literally gone through the record with 2 clients. I printed all of it out. We sat down together and we went through the entire record and highlighted, like, this is what would help me. This is what would hurt me. This is what would help me. This is what would hurt me. And both of them ultimately made the decision not to introduce their record into court because it was going to be more harmful than helpful to them. Okay. Mitigation, third-party involvement. So, you know, my husband and I were just talking about this week. He's a lawyer. And basically, like, this informed consent is a contract, right? And so we're saying, like, hey, you're signing this contract. Do you agree that if some shit goes down between us that's not good, instead of going directly to suing me, you know, we'll hire a mediator and we'll split the expense or whatever it is that you have in your informed consent and try to work through this without going into court. Okay. So we're just saying, like, do you agree to that? And they say, yes, I agree to that. The reality is anybody, this is news to me, anybody can break a contract at any freaking time. Anybody can break a contract at any time. The repercussions are that I could potentially sue them for breaking that contract, but that's going to cost me a whole lot of money and time and headache and heartache, and it's probably not going to be worth it. And that's the way it works with most contracts, is the repercussion is, they could get sued. But if they know you're not going to sue them because it'd be a big pain in the ass, then, they can break the contract. So we're just trying to set up the standards and hoping that things go well. And 99.9999999% of the time they will. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, because I missed it. So thank you for calling that to my attention. Under what circumstances, Nicole's saying, would I need this, and where do I find the service? I'm not sure what you mean by the service. Oh, like a mediator? I don't know. I would go to my liability provider and ask that information when the situation came up, if the situation came up, which it's not gonna, probably. Pamela says, last week is my last day at my W-2. Yes, way to go. I am all in. Awesome, awesome. I have two main populations, older adults, especially women 50 and older. Gosh, we need you. I mean, there just aren't enough people. And individuals of any age living with a dementia diagnosis. When I do my PT profile, do I reference both or have two profiles? Dementia is a touchy subject with older adults, and seeing that on my profile might turn them off. Ooh, these are great questions. How do I incorporate it on my website? Those are great questions. Pamela, are you wanting to do like family consultation too for, because I know you do that and you do a really good job with it, for people who have family members who have dementia and they need help knowing how to navigate that? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, we're kind of talking to multiple audiences, and they're different enough in how you'd have to word the messaging. So on your website, it's a little bit easier, because on your website, we can do something like this. I'll show you. I know I've shown you guys this so many times, but I never know who's seen it, who hasn't. So let me pull it up. I'll show you. And then we'll have to think about psychology today. Okay. So let's say, you have your website. We're going to make copy that's general enough that it will speak to the broad swath of our people. But then we're going to get to a section that looks like this. So bink, bink, bink. We're going to have 3 different sections, and you're going to say women 50 and older. And then you're going to speak to their pain points, their hope points, and the bridge here. Then you're going to say whatever language would resonate. People suffering with dementia, pain points, hope points, bridge. Families needing expert advice around a family member with dementia. Write better copy than I just did. Pain point, hope point, bridge. And then under each one, the call to action: schedule your free consult, schedule your free consult, schedule your free consult. So that, and then each of these will be clickable, and we'll take them to, of course, ooh, my page is broken. Shoot. Each of these will take them to a separate page on your website that will speak to that unique audience. This is why it's a little bit difficult with psychology today. You just don't have enough room, and people are making a very quick decision from your picture and your first or second line, and then they're moving on. So it's not even like you could be like, I will deal with each different population in a different paragraph. I don't think that's going to work. I honestly, what I think for you is your skill set is so rare and it's so needed. If you're going to do the family consults, I think that those are going to fill via word of mouth over time. Yeah, I hate to tell you to have different Psychology Today profiles because it's money, but I would. In this situation, I would. I think that that is going to be your avenue in. And then I have a follow-up question for you, Pamela, because I know we've talked about this repeatedly because I just think you're such a huge asset to families that are like, how the hell do I like for example, I've told you this before, you know, my family has dealt with dementia multiple times now, and Parkinson's as well, and hallucinations and all sorts of shit. And sometimes like the family's just like, what am I supposed to do when they're actively hallucinating? Like, do I tell them that they're not, that thing is not there? Do I just roll with it? What am I supposed to do? And if they could just pay to get on the phone with you, an expert who could provide consultation, I know that they would. I know that that would be a side of your business that would really take off. Are there some like ethical or legal reasons that it would not work for you to provide, or if you just don't want to provide that kind of consultation? I see you saying, I'm not a care manager, so I'm not really sure what that means. Okay. Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, I think that that will sell like freaking hotcakes. I think that will sell like hotcakes. Okay, let me slide. Let me know if I missed anything there. Redlicia says, I also ran into trouble with the Google My Business profile. My profile was disabled as soon as I created it. I know things have changed, but is there anyone you'd recommend we check out that may have figured this out for online therapists? So when you say it was disabled as soon as you created it, let me ask some follow-up questions there. When you set it up, it's not live, it is disabled until they verify you. And they do that in a number of ways. Usually it's through sending a postcard to the address that you listed to verify that you're actually there. Is that what might be happening? Or are you like smacked on the wrist and you're in trouble for something? Let me know. I'm going to give you a minute because there's a little delay. Oh, they said you violated some rules. Do you have any idea? Did they tell you what rules you allegedly violated? Did they give you any insight at all? My experience is that it's very hard to get somebody to pay attention to you to help work through those things, but we do need more information in order to troubleshoot it. Do you have any idea of what you might have done that violated rules? You guys know, as I'm waiting for your response, that apparently I violated Facebook rules, and they turned off my ability to run ads. It's been turned off for like a year and a half. I cannot get it back on. And that's, you know, that's a huge part of people's businesses. I can't get anybody on the phone. I can't get anybody to reply to me a message. It's just like, you broke the rules. You're done. You're done. It's really a pain. It's really a problem. But there's such a huge company that, and I'm such a minion that they're not interested in, you know, paying somebody to help me navigate that. I didn't pay them enough money in ads for them to be willing to do that. My former coach, who's paying them, you know, a lot of money in ads, probably 100,000 a year in ads. If her ad account gets turned off, they are absolutely going to be talking to her. All right. And Bradleycia, you can also, if you can take a screenshot of what they said. Okay, they didn't. Oh, okay. So my guess is it's because I'm located in Tennessee and the address I used was a friend's apartment. The service areas might have been too far out from the address as well. Yeah, that's probably it. I don't know how they know these things, but that is probably it. Will they let you get in and change anything, or are you locked out? And while you're typing, I'll go up to Janet's question and then we're going to wrap. If allowing people to schedule free consult directly from my website, my therapy notes asks if we want to allow nobody, new clients, existing clients, logged in clients, or anyone. What do you recommend? I don't know what nobody, oh, nobody is, and nobody's allowed to do it. Okay, got it. I would put anyone, because people floating around on the internet looking to schedule with you certainly won't already be in the system. So if you put existing clients, they're not going to let those folks in. I don't know how they define new clients. So that would depend on how they define that, but I would just put anybody. Okay, so Bradlecia deleted it and she wants a chance to come back and try again. That's smart. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to try again. And do you have an addressed solution? So if you have an addressed solution, then you're probably gonna be successful. If we don't have one, we might have to like brainstorm to try to figure it out. Meantime, y'all, I've got to wrap us up. We're a little bit over time, and this girl here needs to eat some lunch. Okay. So, Bradlecia, let's chat it out in the Facebook group. Tag me and let's see if we can come up with some solutions and like why you didn't use your home address, yada, 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 all that stuff. And let's see if we can figure it out together. All right, friends, I will see you next week. Keep on doing the work and moving that needle forward. And let's have some really successful businesses this year, shall we? Bye.